That'd be absolutely devastating.
Oh! This is Joey Owens' show. They've been trying to get me on this broadcast forever, and this is the worst damn broadcast I've ever been on. So you all can kiss my ass while I win this match.
I didn't think I'd ever say it, but sometimes it is nice to hear JKO's voice. I laugh every time I watch that little clip.
I do too. I like Tony's reaction. That's what I laugh about.
Yeah.
It was great just for people who don't know, because we didn't know they were coming over there at all. So, it wasn't like we were prepared for it or anything. It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, Mike and Joey had it all set up. We knew nothing about it.
Now they've done it a couple times. I wish last time we ought to have been able to get it on camera like that, but I got kicked out of the camera position. So, but no, this is G.W.R. I'm Chris Gonzo'S. He's Tony Gonzo'S, and then we're also joined by Marcus Fine. How's it going, Marcus?
I'm doing good.
Had a pretty good weekend of wrestling. I know you had a good night Friday night, and both had a pretty good night Saturday night.
Had a real nice crowd there Saturday night.
Yeah, they did. I'm going to talk a little bit about
Hey, Kelly.
About pro wrestling. Not a whole lot with WWE and
good evening, Billy.
With WWE or AEW, but I did want to talk about what me and Chris seen. Well, he's seen some of it. I've seen about all of it. What we've seen this weekend, the Game Changer Wrestling, which held interest for us because of some of the local wrestlers that was involved. Got to see Hillbilly Jed wrestle in a 4-way match.
That was awesome.
Against Josh Crane, Jeffrey Johns, and a wrestler, I believe they said he was from Chicago, Coda Hernandez. And Hillbilly Jed got the victory and looked very good. It was a good match. It was entertaining. Another match that held big interest for us was the match with Billy Rock.
Hey, what's up, Austin?
Coming back and wrestling with Billy Starks and Cole Radrick. They took on Mance Warner, Dark Sheik, and one called Mathers. And should I say what their name was? I don't think I'll say their name. They call themselves Second Gear C, and I won't say the rest of the word. They did on there, but I won't. But the
one dude,
other guy,
one commentary guy, he wouldn't say it, and then I couldn't believe they actually put it up on the screen on the graphic, and then she came out with the shirt with the saying on the shirt, and it was like,
well, she's a transgender, and she had it on the shirt, so what difference does it make? So anyway, but Mance Warner and them won that match, but they give Billy Rock a lot of props at the end, and crowd loved them. And the other match that I wanted to talk about from there real quick was a team called Bussy. It's Alley Catch and Effie, and they took on what I had interest in, Tommy Wildfire Rich and Doug Gilbert in a match. Of course, Tommy Rich is 66 years old, and but even the fact that he really can't wrestle anymore, the way him and Gilbert worked the crowd.
Oh, they had that crowd.
They had that crowd going as much as any, because there were some high flying matches, there's some hardcore matches, there was a little bit of everything on that show. That's the way they kind of do things. They were over with the crowd, and they give them, even though they lost, after the other people left the ring and left them in there, they stayed in the ring for a couple minutes. They got a standing ovation. You know, so it was a lot of fun. It was a pretty good show.
It was cool just watching them working the crowd, and the way they was able they weren't doing a whole lot. Basically, he was doing exactly what Ricky Morton told us in that seminar, and he was just doing that to a T.
Yeah.
They weren't really taking no bumps or nothing. They didn't do.
Gilbert could do more because Gilbert's only like 55.
Well, I mean,
Rich is 66.
I mean, if you watched it, it wasn't like they took a bunch of bumps or anything, but they kept the crowd the whole time. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And then the other thing I want to talk about was Impact had a pay-per-view last night.
Also, Shane Mercer.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
Shane Mercer was on there.
It was a tag match. He got his team actually lost.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised. But it was a pretty good match. He took a pretty good.
He picked up a big dude though, and done that moonsault battery. Man, that's a big guy he was holding. I was like, man.
Have you ever been to that Coliseum in Evansville?
No.
Okay.
I was invited down a lot. They used to run shows every Wednesday night in that building.
Well, that's where they were.
Yeah.
And Marcus, I thought they had lost their minds because Mercer takes that guy up there
on the balcony
and has him up. And I think they was going to throw him off there. And I'm said, you're going to kill somebody. And then they had somebody move a table, and all it was one of them plastic tables.
Oh.
They were going to kill somebody, but then he got down and got away from him. And I thought they were.
I thought he was just going to toss him off there.
They run a big old thing out. There's only tubes they brought out, but a great big old, I don't know how many, probably 15, 20 tubes taped together.
Yeah, probably.
And Mercer got thrown on them and had some pretty good blood coming off his back. But
and when he stood up, there was pieces of glass stuck in him.
Still in him.
Like, dude,
he's walking around with that glass stuck in him.
Mm.
Say Shane, hey everybody, Billy and Austin and Kelly, of course.
What's that,
Shane?
Impact. I missed the first half of Impact, so I'll just go over the matches I've seen. But what I got to see, the 3 or 4 matches I got to see were outstanding. The X Division match, I know Chris got to see with Trey Miguel and Jonathan Gresham and Mike Belly. I thought that was a really good match. Good. And of course, Miguel ended up holding his X Division championship retained. Next was really entertaining. It was Team Bully Ray against Team Tommy Dreamer. It was Bully Ray, Brian Myers, Kenny King, Moose, and Masha Slamovich. On one team is Tommy Dreamer, Frankie Kazarin. Hope people don't get mad because I'm going to have trouble with a couple of these names. One of them was Yuma Kimura. He was a Japanese wrestler. The other wrestler was Kajura, and I'm not saying it's an Indian wrestler. I've never heard of him before. And then Killer Kelly, which I was really impressed with her and her performance in that match. Tommy Dreamer's match won, but the rules were kind of would be like war games, except for in the cage. It was just they came into the ring every 2 minutes. One team had an advantage. Anything went, only won by submission or pinfall, and it was very entertaining. It was
just one ring.
Just one ring, but it was very good. They did some comedy stuff. The thing that I loved, I thought was great, is Bully Ray's been a real been on AEW about some of the stuff like referees holding the ladders for wrestlers and stuff like that. And so when it came time for him to climb the ladder, he's yelling at the referees to hold the ladder.
He said, hold my ladder.
Hold the ladder. Oh. And the referees wouldn't hold the ladder. He comes down off the ladder. The 4 referees attack him. And then and then Tommy Dreamer lays him out. And then Tommy Dreamer gets up on the ladder and the referees hold the ladder for him. So I think they was kind of taking some shots at AEW, but I thought it was pretty funny.
It was good. And
then they had a heavyweight title match. Josh Alexander got injured, so he had to be stripped of the title. Had Steve Macklin, who was a wrestler in WWE, lost his job for some of his views on political stuff. He was putting out political stuff. He was part of a 3-man team and lost his job. Impact gave him a chance, and he'd been in for a couple years, and he wrestled Kushida, who's from Japan, used to be in NXT. It was a very good match, a really good match. Macklin's the new champion. And then the ladies' championship was Mickie James give up the title because she's also injured, and had Jordan Grace against Deonna Purrazzo, and it was an outstanding. It was the main event. The ladies' match was the main event of the night, and they put on a show too. So the Impact show was really, really good, really strong. The 4 matches I got to see because I finished watching the other pay-per-view. I just wanted to go over that real quick. And Marcus, if you want to go over what you seen.
Real quick, I can't remember his name now. The one guy's name, was that New Japan when we still watching that? The one guy that dude, Marcus got a guy that had him in a vertical suplex sitting. He was sitting on his butt and had him vertical, and then came up all the way to his feet, holding the guy vertical the whole time.
Wow.
He's from Japan.
I've never seen nothing like it before.
I'd never heard of the guy before. What was his name?
I can't think of his name now. Something Coughlin.
Alex Coughlin is his name. And I never heard of him. He's signed with New Japan. I've never seen anything like that. It was unbelievable.
He done a couple of big, powerful things like that, but when he done that, I've never seen nothing like that. I mean, he was sitting flatter on his butt with his legs out in front of him.
And he got to his knees.
He got to his knees and all the way to his feet, and then walked around with them, and then
never seen nothing like. And he's a big guy, but not.
Yeah.
No, he's not like a Lex Luger type. I mean, muscle, but not.
Yeah, but
like that.
Yeah, he showed his power.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe.
I forgot about that because we did watch about an hour New Japan pay-per-view.
Yeah, we watched a lot of wrestling yesterday.
Yes, we did. Okay, Marcus, if you wanted to go over what you seen Friday night, and also we can talk about what we seen Saturday.
All right, Friday night at the Dub, 80%. I guess they had 80% capacity, which is still doing pretty good for it not being their major show of the month.
And it being so nice outside, really for the first time.
Let's see, where do I start? Okay, Damon DeVille. Sorry, wrong promotion. Highlight reel. Damon Reel defeated Brody Botkins to become the #1 contender for the Outlaw title. So Damon will take on Dalton Love at the end of the month. Luke Savage defeated Tom Van Zant to become the Gunslingers #1 contender. So Luke will take on Dutch Boy at the end of the month.
That'd be good.
That'd be good.
Well, a match that we were all kind of snickering about because we just like, okay, whatever. But it was very well done. Dalton Love defeated Pogo for the Outlaw title. Dalton Love defended his title against Pogo. And we all first thought, okay, but it was a very good match. Dalton ended up hitting him with that mirror and cracked a gash in the back of Pogo. I mean, he had blood just dripping out of the back of his head. And then and another outstanding match, and I couldn't tell you what the moves was, but like you said, with the Japanese guys that you've seen, they had the guy come in, Sahiro Erie, defeated Dex Royal in probably one of the best matches I've seen in a long time.
And we actually got to watch him last night on Game Changer.
Yep.
That Erie.
Yes, he did.
And after seeing him, I wish I would have saw him and Dex because
man, and
that match he was in. Who did he wrestle last night? I forget who he wrestled, but they were. Damn it, I
can't remember now. But it was a good match.
I'm gonna have to put that probably right now. Is probably the year for
Tony Deppen.
Yeah, it was Tony Deppen and him, and they put on a hell of a match. So I'd like to see him and Dex.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put that at match of the year. I mean, Dex and Brody was match of the year. Now Dex and this Erie guy is the match of the year. I mean, it was just fantastic. And then you want me to go over Saturday?
Yeah, go ahead. We can chime in. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, Bruce wasn't making no comments that Bruce normally does. I mean, everybody was so focused on that match. And they got the "This is awesome" chant. And when it was over, Dex bowed and Erie bowed and Joey and the twins and Dex, well, Dex was already out there, and Rachel come out, and oh man, the respect, it was just fantastic. So then on Saturday, seen another fantastic match between Mike King and Hidari. We don't think them two had ever wrestled each other before, but that was a very hard-hitting match. These all written up in one page.
Glenn said if Big Bruce quiet, you know
it was. He never said a word during that. Match opened with the actual show opened with Travis Southern and Kai Maho going down in defeat to Jake Elliott and Brody Botkins. Jake legitimately got hurt. I guess he pulled tendons off his shoulder or something, so he's out for 6 weeks. What else? I got this all written up here in the corner. Oh, Savage Love, speaking of those guys, became the new AACW tag champs in a match with the Dirty Birds and M2P, and I thought that was a fantastic match as well.
I thought it was really good too.
The Birds have come a long way. I was very impressed with their showing on Saturday, going up against Luke and Dalton and Zay, who wrestle every week. They held their own rather well, I thought, in that.
I did too.
Threat. And then in the main event, Justin Terrell defeated Christian Cash to retain the AACW championship. But next month, my king does suck. But next month, we're going to see Mike King versus Joey the Kid Owens in a cage, and Justin Terrell taking on Christian Cash in a cage. So next month will be very well another good.
And Christian Cash said he told Justin Terrell he's going to kill him.
That was a little strong, but yeah, he did tell him that.
And I heard from Johnny Swade today. Johnny Swade said he will be in attendance next month. He had car trouble this last week or Saturday. That's why he didn't get there. So
I'm looking forward to Mike King and JKO in a cage. I've seen them go at it in a few different style matches. Now this rivalry's been going for a while, and to see them in a steel cage, them two, it's not going to disappoint. I know that.
Yeah, I thought the show was a real good show. Won't be honest, I didn't think it was as good as the last one we saw, but it was going to be hard to beat that one. I mean, there was so much emotion, with hog wrestling and that bull rope match and everything that happened. A lot of things happened at that show, and it was going to be hard to beat. Thought they did a good job of following it up, but it was, like I said, a strong show, especially the second half of the show was really, really good. I thought match of the night was that 3-man tag, but again, the Dari match with Mike King was very good. The Christian Cash match was also very good too. So, and got a lot of some new stories and some things that coming up for the following months, and so I thought they did a good job.
And I like the building they got. So,
yep.
I think I almost like that building better than it did the Carver Center.
My only thing was it was a little hot. but
you get that in the spring. You just got to get used to it being hot in the spring. So,
well, got used to being hot. Now today it's 30 degrees out.
And the air conditioner's like, I ain't coming on. It's going to be 40 all day. Get over it.
Hey, you're going to be hot in the springtime, and if you go to the Dub in the wintertime and you sit back there by that door, you're going to freeze.
It was actually pretty cool. We were surprised because Joey come up to us because he goes, pretty cool in here, isn't it? And we was kind of surprised because it was 80 degrees Friday night. And it's like, yeah, it was pretty cool until they started opening the doors, turned on the lights, people come in, then we started getting hot. But
that night for that Thunder or Blunder show, man, we froze back there.
Oh man.
Somebody opened it. I think that's why Stevie quit going. I really do.
I do. That was the last show. He never came back.
He's like, you gotta try to freeze me to death. We did, and he was the coldest because he was sitting all the way over by the door. At least I was a little over, but man.
No, not to gloss over. Yeah, the Dirty Birds I thought had an outstanding performance considering the experience that they're giving up to some really good wrestlers. I mean, to me, I think I said it during the show. I think Luke and Dalton as a tag team, very good singles wrestlers too. Don't get me wrong, very good. But as a tag team, probably one of the top 3 in Indiana. Yeah, quite possibly.
Dalton. Can't remember the last time I lost a match. Maybe Mr. Know-It-All could let me know. It's been a while.
I could say something, but I'm not going to. It don't have nothing to do with the match. But I'm going to be nice.
No, I did think
you ought to be happy, Dalton. I bought a hanky from your bandana.
I think that I do agree. I think that was probably the match of the night was the tag team triple threat, and the Dirty Birds did look a lot better this time than last time we saw them. So you definitely could see the improvement. That was cool to see.
The only thing I didn't like about the match was after it was over, Terry Coons trying to get us killed. He could have waited till after I wasn't over there talking to him to yell out at some of the Dirty Bird fans, "Hey, any of you want any Luke Savage or
what I said? No, Savage Love shirt.
Savage Love merch." And if that lady would have had a gun, we would have been dead because she would have killed us. Because she was very upset
for that riot. He was trying to get that riot going.
It wasn't going to be a riot. It was going to be a mass shooting. I don't want no part of that.
It was.
I'll take my chances with a riot, but I don't want a mass shooting.
You talk about a crowd going for one of the loudest crowd, like the loudest crowd, one of the loudest crowds I've ever heard at the independent show to just dead quiet. Boom!
You could have heard a pin drop, man. You could have heard a pin drop,
and I loved it. I thought it was great.
I thought that the whole thing was fantastic.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the match. Really enjoyed the show.
I'll tell you what, when Dirty Birds came out, you don't hear you hear a lot of good pops in the independent scene, but you don't hear a pop like that very often. And I mean, that place exploded.
It did.
You've got to be in person to hear it, to really get the feel of
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was. Because I know in my head said it was louder. It was louder.
Well, I had to take mine off one ear because it was just blowing my eardrum out.
And you're mentioning in the mirror, the Dalton also busted what? 2 more mirrors. Wasn't there 2 that night?
2, yeah.
Yeah. So
And blood was drawn on
Yeah.
on whichever, whether it was Bert's got hit. He had blood drawn too. So
Goose.
It was Goose.
yeah,
I think it was Goose.
yeah. If they weren't wearing their shirts, I get Goose and Rooster mixed up. But
Yeah, I know them by their shoot names. I can tell. I go Goose and Rooster. I start getting mixed up.
yeah, Lily must want those mirrors in bulk. So
No, there's some good. No, I enjoyed the show. It was, if I had one criticism, it was a little long.
Yeah. It was
Other than
a
that,
pretty long show. Yeah, it was a long one, but it had 9 matches. I told a few of the people I thought it would have been a little stronger show if it had maybe 6 or 7, but it was a good show. It was
Yeah, it
solid.
was.
Well, I think we'll move on and get into our topics. I think we'll start, if it's okay with you guys, we'll start with the storylines. Yeah, let me see here. Okay, I didn't know what you're doing there. I had a list here from the Bleacher Report. Wanted to see what you guys. Some of them I agreed with, some of them I didn't. Had the storyline, the breakup of the Mega Powers, as one of the best storylines. Of course, this was a pretty good one. Matt Hardy and Edge with the backstage affair with Lita. That was a pretty popular storyline, pretty big. The Ric Flair retirement angle. You know, if you lose another match with Vince McMahon, if you lose another match, you're done. CM Punk to leave the WWE on July 17th, 2011 at Money in the Bank. And then also had the CM Punk shoot on Raw. That was June 27, 2011. So all that was kind of going together and, you know, kind of story there. A lot of people think the CM Punk shoot on Raw was you know, 100% shoot. It wasn't. It was scripted to a certain degree. Nexus invades John Cena.
Didn't Triple H help write some of that?
I'm not sure on that. I know he had something to do with it. I think they all did.
I'd heard that Triple H helped write some of that.
The Tyson and Austin brawl that leading up to WrestleMania 14. Sergeant Slaughter story with being an Iraqi sympathizer. Goldberg's undefeated streak was a pretty big story. Tommy Dreamer's 2-year feud with Raven in ECW. But the top 5 that I got off Bleacher Report, again, I'm not saying I agree with these, but they had number 5, Jarrett and Angle in TNA, which of course involved Jarrett's or Angle's wife leaving. I'm gonna step out for 1 second. So if you want to talk.
All right. Well, he'll get back to his list here in a minute. He got told it was time to go do something. But what do you think about the ones that he named off?
I don't have any of them on my list. Well, actually, I kind of do because I had the Stone Cold Attitude Era beginning. See, I kind of looked at it a little different, but that kind of had to do with the Mike Tyson thing.
Yeah.
And then D-Generation X. Well, I don't want to go on in because I'm curious what the top.
Yeah, for the top 5 on that Bleacher Report list. Because
that.
a lot of the ones he named off wasn't some of them that I had. You get taken care of.
Yeah. I don't know what happened, but I took care of it. I'm gonna take care of you here.
Now the dogs are messing with them. Now know how I feel every day at 1 o'clock when I sit down and then Scrappy comes here, opens the door, and I gotta get back up. It's like, dude, you just come in here when I told you to come in here.
Yeah, number 5, they had Jarrett and Angle, the TNA Angle, TNA with, of course, Angle's wife left him in She ended up with Jeff Jarrett, and that was in real life also.
Oh, was it really? Okay.
Yeah, she had already left him, and then they did the story, which I can't believe they did. Number 4, we had Austin versus McMahon. That storyline had the NWO versus WCW's number 3. Number 2, they had the Montreal Screwjob, which I don't know if that's a storyline. That was kind of the truth. But,
I was gonna say that was pretty much a shoot.
and they had as their number 1 storyline is the Undertaker WrestleMania streak.
Ooh, man, there's one on there. I'm surprised they didn't make the list. The one I think, what I'm surprised didn't make the list was Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty in the barbershop incident.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I wrote that down, and I thought that'd be like in the top 5. So
now I have a list I can go through, and then you guys can chime in with your stuff. But here's some of the stuff I had, not in any order necessarily. And actually, I'll be honest with you, I was influenced with some stuff I was seeing last night, watching some of them shows, watching some of the documentaries. Of course, some people think this is the greatest storyline ever, Kane and Undertaker. When Kane first came in, being his brother and everything, a lot of people like that. To me, Dusty Rhodes and the Horsemen seemed like it lasted forever. That's probably maybe my all-time favorite, just because I'm so kind of old school. Daniel Bryan's Road to WrestleMania, I thought was very good.
Yeah. Billy said our dogs are the best.
Randy Savage and Elizabeth reuniting.
Yeah.
Of course, people love that. Another real good storyline was the Von Erichs and the Freebirds. Freebirds, a lot of people probably don't remember that the Freebirds came in as good guys.
Faces, yeah.
They were faces and friends with the Von Erichs, and then turned
Christmas night of 82, 3, 4, I don't know.
Police had to take him out of that crowd because that crowd wanted to kill them. It was riot. A real good one that I didn't think about till I read it. It had to be people to watch NXT, but Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa was outstanding through NXT. Their storyline went from coming in at the same time, just being friends, becoming a tag team, become tag team champions. Ciampa turning on them. It was an outstanding couple years with them two. Jake the Snake Roberts I thought was a really good storyline with Savage, where he came into their wedding and broke it up. And Undertaker, that's when Undertaker kind of turned good guy.
Yeah.
And then also I just remember, and I wasn't a kid. I was an adult, but still just thought it was crazy that they had Jake with that snake biting Savage. It was just nuts. Flair and Shawn always was that retirement story was a real good one for me. The Eddie and Rey Mysterio fighting over Dom, that was a crazy story, real good.
That's still kind of playing that one now.
Yes, still going. Years later, still going.
Well, that was something I was going to say. That's pretty cool, especially you see it. I think you're seeing it more since Triple H has taken over. You're seeing some of the storylines from back in the day getting tied in to some of the new storylines. Kind of like with the Dom and Eddie and Ray, and then
Dusty and the Rhodes. What they're doing right now, most definitely. The Hogan and Iron Sheik, to watch those that stuff last night and that documentary, and seeing how the crowd reacted to the Sheik and how the crowd reacted to Hogan and everything that was going on. And the same thing with Sheik and Slaughter. And then also we played the Hogan and Andre last night, and that story and they played a clip that's really cool of Andre after Hogan won the title the first time. And they talked to Andre, and Andre, what do you think about this? He said, I'm not worried about a world title. He said, I just want to be the fans and stuff. But then he says in that interview, maybe someday. And they said they planted those seeds of that story right then. And it was really cool to see that. So them are the ones I wrote down. Also,
Austin said Edge and Cena feud 2006.
Yep. Another one I did miss, Kofi Mania. When Kofi Kingston went on that roll, that was a really good story, and how they got him there to the main event and win the title. So them are the ones that I kind of had down. Marcus, if you want to go through what you got, and then Chris,
right.
if you have anything.
I had the NWO. And then I had Stone Cold. I did put Stone Cold all together with the Attitude Era, the Mike Tyson. Then he took on McMahon, and then DX come along, the whole DX storylines. Now I'm going to start going back a little further. Hogan and Piper. That was the setup for WrestleMania 1.
You probably know what about that. Why he's talking more. Why he's talking about than me. Oh, you probably didn't see it, did you?
Which one?
It says JC Jane and GG spot with Bailey.
Oh yeah, that spot was a takeoff on Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. They kind of did it instead of using a window, they used a door.
Okay, yeah,
that was on NXT, and that was a kind of a ode to that. It was very good.
Do you think Cristiano Ronaldo would be a good wrestler? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Hey,
how's it going?
He's got a big show coming up at the end of the month. Be here before you know it.
Yep. Yeah, we watched him last night on Game Changer. Cole Redrick.
Oh, okay.
How's Jonathan doing? Jonathan's on there too. Jake, how you feel today?
I seen they got some pretty good news. Nothing broken.
Yeah, but sometimes they say those pulls are worse than.
Yeah, sometimes it can be.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember watching it that night here in the house. I didn't go, but
that show he has coming up in Spencer, that Ari, or I don't know how you pronounce his name, but I saw he's going to be on that card as well.
Yes.
He has a real good card going to be for that show. Banks versus Bailey in NXT, and Shield versus Wyatt family as well.
These are all good.
Yep.
And Jake says sore, but just a bump in the road. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you back here before too long.
Well, I talked to him. He said he's coming. He may not work, but you'll see him. So,
Austin said Christian versus Randy Orton. So he says underrated storyline.
Yep.
/ feud.
Well, that whole storyline, Randy Orton and the Legend Killer.
Yeah.
Where he was taking people
that
out.
Was a good one.
That was a real good story.
Taking all them old, yep. All right. Well, I had Hogan and Piper. That was the big major feud Hogan had. The MTV, Cyndi Lauper, Lou Albano, all that. War to settle the score. Setting up for WrestleMania 1. And then, like I said, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, which I'm surprised didn't make that list that you just read off. You brought up Savage and Elizabeth getting back together. Well, then I had Hogan, Savage, and Miss Elizabeth to break up to start with.
I had that as well.
Mega Powers, yeah.
And then, of course, Hogan and Andre. That's classic stuff there. I had Steamboat and Ric Flair, 1989. Steamboat came in as somebody's surprise tag team partner and pinned Flair, and that set up the Flair Steamboat. Steamboat won the title. They went all summer back and forth doing 1 hour matches. You don't see that hardly anymore, and they were doing it every night. Remember Jake the Snake, Rick Rude, and Jake's wife?
Yes. I forgot about that one.
That's a Cheryl was sitting in the audience, and I'm Jake the Snake, because Rude would go out and dance in front of some woman, and, well, who are you? I'm Jake Snake's wife, and that's how that feud started. Rick Rude used to come out with her picture on his tie.
Yeah, on his trunks. Yeah, that was crazy stuff. But the beat, I think I'd said this on one of the other shows. It's crazy that Jake the Snake and his ex-wife Cheryl have reunited after over 30 years.
I was still living at home. I mean, that's how long ago that was. So
so after 30 years of being apart, over 30 years being apart, they're back together.
Yeah. Well, of course, the Four Horsemen, they have storylines going all different directions.
Yes.
I had Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage, which I thought was interesting because if you remember how that started, Sherry come out and wanted a title shot for Randy against Warrior, And Warrior told her no. Well, you know, Savage and Warrior never wrestled for the title because Warrior was wrestling Sergeant Slaughter, and Savage come out and hit that scepter over his head, and Slaughter won it to set it up so Hogan could take the belt at WrestleMania 7. Now you're ready to go way back. Pat Patterson and Sergeant Slaughter, they got a boot camp match. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yeah, it's outstanding.
You talk about hardcore before hardcore was hardcore. Now that is some good stuff right there.
Yes, it's
That's
great.
when they let the blood flow and everything. I mean, yeah. What else I got? Freebirds and Von Erichs, of course, but
they had the Iron Sheik. They showed some of that match last night, which surprised me. They showed some of it because there was a lot of blood in it. They showed it on A&E last night of Slaughter and Sheik, and both of them just bleeding all over the place.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, if you go had the Road Warriors versus the Russians. Now we're talking mid '80s NWA stuff.
Yep.
Then you had the Russians taking on Magnum TA and Dusty Rhodes. So those Russians actually had all kinds of storylines going.
Yes.
Of course, Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, and I think that's all I got on my list on that.
Yeah, with Flair, when they broke when Flair and the Horseman broke Dusty's leg. Supposedly broke his leg in the cage. There was fans trying to climb the cage to get inside.
I had Dusty versus the Four Horsemen.
Yep.
And with that, and then you also he done some of them war games matches was against the Four Horsemen. I mean, he had a lot of stuff they done with Flair and them guys.
Oh yeah.
And then also had Kane and Daniel Bryan when they became Hell No.
Oh Hell No.
And they were going to the anger management classes and stuff. That I really love that storyline.
And they drove the psychologist crazy.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember, there was a Kane and X-Pac. Weren't they together for a while too?
Yep.
And had Tori Wilson getting involved in that one, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, Chris, real quick, I don't mean to go away, but what's probably your favorite storyline? You have one?
My favorite?
Yep.
It was probably Stone Cold and McMahon, because I think that time area, that was probably when I was watching it the most. I was watching because I watched almost every night. We didn't miss it.
We went to some shows and stuff too. Yeah.
And I was always a big Stone Cold fan. So
we were
a lot of that attitude era there with the Degeneration X, the NWO.
We was fortunate enough that they had some shows actually at Ball State. They did some Monday Night Raw at Ball State, and got to see that was when Brett was doing the bad guy, Canadian bad guy stuff with them and Stone Cold and stuff. So yeah.
Michael's Taker feud, Glenn said, was his all time.
Yeah, but that was a good feud also.
And then Jonathan put the Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero, and the fact again we said that earlier about now they got the second generation of that feud going on. So
yeah, I think my favorite was the Rhodes and the Horsemen. Because I guess because I was younger.
Was good too.
I mean, just because I was younger, it just made a bigger impression. Not that I was 13, 14. I was probably about 17 or 18, but it left a big impression on me. I think that's probably my favorite.
TJ Powers, hey, what's going on?
Hey, TJ.
What was probably your favorite?
Well, I don't know how you have to look at it. I liked Hogan and Piper because that really started where we're at today.
That's true.
And of course, I was an NWO, but then as soon as Stone Cold started taking over, then I was over on the other side of the fence. So mid-90s was pretty good on both sides, both groups.
Yeah, it was.
So
97 to 99, things probably start falling apart there in 99 for WCW.
Mm-hmm.
And when they started falling, man, that fell.
Yeah.
Austin says Kurt versus Shawn. He said feud short but awesome.
I've always liked Flair and Steamboat. I mean, because that was just raw talent there. I mean, well, not raw talent. That was just
those three matches they have. I don't know if you could take another three matches that somebody else had and say they were better than those.
No,
I doubt it.
And the fact that they went almost hours.
Yeah.
But they kept your attention. It wasn't boring hour. you didn't know the hour had went by until the pin hit.
And it was wrestling. You know, it wasn't no crazy stuff. You know,
That's when I said raw talent, they weren't raw talent. They were very gifted men, and they knew how to do it. And yeah, that was fantastic stuff.
Aaron says TNA Styles versus Daniels versus Joe was crazy stuff, and TNA Angle versus Joe.
Yeah, Angle. If people that didn't watch after
Angle and Austin, the Angle and Austin storyline when they were he came out that milk truck and was spraying him with the milk, and then that stuff was awesome.
The Jimmy Crack cord and that little dinky hat.
Oh yeah. Austin,
yes.
Austin did that comedy stuff because he was hurt. He didn't have a choice. You know, he kind of had to, and he did it great. And then of course Angle could do for Angle
that guitar.
I mean, for Angle to have that personality, to be able to do what he did with all that other ability he had is just unbelievable.
Well, then Angle on The Rock, when they're talking about the lunch lady, that's still the funniest thing I ever heard. Yeah. I'm going to go down to see the lunch lady and get milk. And The Rock says, tell me about it. She's got big jugs of milk, and they're eating this.
Yeah. You can't forget the Rock and Sock connection.
Yeah. Well,
the stuff that Foley and The Rock did together, man. That was good, too.
The Foley and Rock, this is your life.
This is your life.
Oh, because I grew up on This Is Your Life. I don't know if you remember that show.
I remember watching the reruns of it, yes.
But I remember that show, and they did that. It was
we brought that up earlier, TJ.
But probably one of my favorite scenes was when Foley came in. That was the introduction of Mr. Sacco and Vince in the hospital, and that clown coming in driving Vince crazy, and then Stone Cold comes in and hits him with that bedpan. That thing still, I could watch it over and over and over again, and that would laugh. So yeah, there was some incredible moments.
TJ brought up a good one because I didn't read that all the way when I seen it. When Dusty and Nikita Koloff took on the Road Warriors, that was some classic wrestling right there.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
Yeah, because Magnum TA got hurt.
Yeah,
and Nikita took and that's how they become the superpowers because of that. So yeah, that was
and that's a good one too. Taker versus Mankind.
Yeah, because that Hell in the Cell will go down in history forever.
That match, I was just told the other day, it gets me every time. I'll sit there. They were showing highlights of the other day, and I still sit there and get just like all of what I'm watching. It's like
and then to hear Taker's saying, "Hey, man, let's end the match." No, gotta get to the tax. He said, so you don't need the tax. Everybody's in here is happy. And he did the tax, and then he still wasn't happy with the tax. Had to do him again. He said
he didn't like the way it looked.
Well, when you get Terry Funk coming in there and saying, "Dude, you need to quit," and Terry Funk tells you, "Hey, you've gone too far," and Mankind wouldn't do it.
Well, said Terry Funk gets down checking on him. He said Terry Funk is checking him for a pulse. Undertaker said. So he climbs down into the ring, and Terry Funk comes to him and says, "He's still breathing."
The Terry Funk imitation, very good.
Yeah, and I can't do it near as good as
no, but
as
that was pretty good.
But yeah, it was crazy.
In fact, you want a bit of history? I just read that today is the anniversary, 1981, from the empty arena match between Jerry Lawler and Terry Funk in Memphis.
Really?
1981 today. I just seen that right before we went online.
I said Dusty got fired for that spike.
Yes, he did.
He got fired for the spike in the eye. Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah, Dusty got fired because he took the spike. He wasn't, remember, because Dusty was producing WCW at that time, and they did that segment and did blood on TV, on the TBS show, and they fired him. He went to WWE. And he left WCW.
I did not know that. I guess the timelines are about right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He left and was gone for about a year and a half, and then they called him and said, because he said he could have re-upped with WWE, but he loved producing and doing all that stuff. He all the behind the scenes stuff too, and he wasn't getting that opportunity in WWE, so he went back.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Glenn did choke slam Funk out of his shoes.
Yeah, sure did. Yeah, it was crazy because he said after Mick come down the cage, and he said he's laying there now. I think he was knocked out. He comes to and he wants to know who the hell shoes is. And it was one of Funk's shoes that when Undertaker choke slam. He come out of his shoes, and he wakes up, and it's his shoe, and he said, "What the hell?" So it was yeah. That stuff is unbelievable.
I still don't know how he walked out of there on his own power after that match.
Well, they said we're gonna get a stretcher for you. He said, "Haven't I already been on the stretcher once?" And they said, "Yeah." He said, "I can't get on a stretcher a second time." He said, "You're gonna have to help me to the back because I'm not getting on the stretcher a second time."
And then the who was the main event that night? It was Stone Cold and who? So you don't remember that, Harley, because they had to follow that.
Yeah, you give me real happy with that.
To get somebody, but man, I couldn't tell you who he was up against.
Well, he said the Undertaker said that Mick came to him for weeks and weeks, wanted to do this spot, and he said, "No, we're not doing that." And finally told him, said, "Do you want to die?" And then 2 days before, he said, "Here come Vince." He said, "I think we can do this." And he said, "Vince," he said, "we don't need to do this."
Might have been Kane, but I wasn't quite sure.
But they talked him into it, so they did it. And the crazy Inferno matches, that Inferno match they did.
Just stupid. I'm telling you, that's like deathmatch glass and fire. That's just fireball's one thing, but when they had them fades up there, you see JR's face is just melting off his face.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just dying, and I don't know what them front row people were feeling because every time they hit the mat, those flames would fly up.
Yeah. Well, it had to be hot because I know just that night when they Undertaker choke slammed Edge through the ring, and they had just caught that part of the ring on fire. We weren't even on the floor. No. We was like 15 rows up in the regular seats, and you could feel the heat.
Could feel the heat.
Wow!
And we were in the seats. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Oh yeah, I couldn't imagine how hot it was when they had that stuff going on around the ring like that. Yeah, he went to the top of the cell, and that chair followed him down and hit him in the head. He had all kinds.
Then if you play the PS2 game and you play Hell in a Cell, you can throw your opponent through the top of the cell and break through the.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Glenn said he felt that fire in the balcony.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I know we could feel.
I know we felt it.
I couldn't imagine having that all the way around the ring.
Well, do you have any more, Marcus? Or
no, that's all I had on my list. I mean, I'll come up with some. I sat down earlier and I grabbed my pen and my paper and just started writing them down. I didn't even go searching.
All the ones I had, we've mentioned.
Okay, we'll go to the greatest wrestling minds. I'm gonna start off with a list that I wrote down from it was called Ring the Bell, and this list was from 2020, and this is their top 5 greatest minds. Number 5, they had Pat Patterson. Of course, he was Vince's right-hand man. I didn't know this till today. I guess he was the person that come up with that evil twin deal for the referees.
Have poking fun at me
with the Hebners. It was his idea to do that. I didn't know that. And I did know that he had the idea for the Royal Rumble. This one I don't know a lot about. But their number 4 was some people out there may know, but I'm not even gonna try to say the first name because I don't know how to say it. But I know who the guy is. Onita. He wrestled in Japan. He come to the Mid-South area and seen a lot of the hardcore stuff that Jerry Lawler and them was doing. He went back to Japan, and they claim he's the guy come up with deathmatch wrestling.
Oh, have you ever watched any of that stuff from Japan?
Yeah, it's nuts.
They do all kinds of. It's just not tubes. They do.
Oh yeah.
Man, and
all the barbed wire stuff, and
that thing with Mick Foley and Terry Funk, and Foley's just got the. I mean, you can't even see his face. He's nothing but blood. That is fantastic stuff, but I wouldn't want to be there for it.
Yeah, they say Onita was the one that came up with that. Number 3 is Dusty Rhodes. Of course, the Great American Bash, Bunkhouse Stampede, Starrcade. He all came up with that stuff. And I mean, they even call War Games. They come up with the Dusty Finish, and people still use that today. So Dusty Rhodes was 3. Paul Heyman, the father of ECW, and all the stuff that he came up with. Really, just I think the way he let the locker room come up with ideas, and the way he could incorporate the ideas, and I think what he really brought was the variety. I think that's something that Game Changers trying to do today. I think AEW tries to do it. I think they could do a better job of it, but trying to do the variety with some hardcore stuff, with some high flying stuff, with luchadors and just different mix. I thought Heyman was a genius with that. And number one, they had Vince McMahon, of course. I think most people are going to have Vince one. Whether I don't know if I agree with that 100%, but I mean, with everything that he did, I know he's had a lot of misses, but to me, he's had a lot more successes than he has misses. So that's who they had in their top 5.
Well, and a name didn't make that list. I was surprised.
Okay, well, here I got another one for you, and this is Bleacher's Report. This is their top 10. This is going to surprise you. Here's their number 10 was Ric Flair, and they said he was behind and created the feuds and the matches with Steamboat and Funk, and he booked those matches. I didn't know that. Number 9, superstar Bill Dundee. He was a booker in Louisiana, Georgia, Mid-South, and Memphis. He worked with Lawler and a lot of people. He was also a talent, but I think he was a better booker than he was probably a talent. Number 8, Jim Cornette, part of the creative team for in WCW in 1989. And some people think that 1989 was the peak year for WCW, NWA. Also started Smoky Mountain. Also did Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Also helped in TNA and in WWE. I think Jim Cornette's one of the best creative. Also crazy, but number 7 on the list was Dusty Rhodes, which we kind of covered some of his stuff already. Number 6 was Gabe Saprosky. He was a right-hand man of Paul Heyman and ECW. He also wrote for Ring of Honor, wrote all their stuff from 2002 to 2008, and has been given a lot of credit for creating a lot of the indie stars, independent stars in history, some of the best ones. They had number 5, Paul Heyman. 4, they had another Japanese guy. I know the name, but I really don't know how to pronounce it. Ricky Shoshu.
Yeah. I know who you're talking.
I don't know if I'm saying it right. He was one of the main people in New Japan Wrestling. Also, I didn't know this. They claim he is the original creator of the Sharpshooter or the Scorpion Deathlock. That he's the one that this is what they're claiming in the story that I read. Also, number 3, they had the Giant Baba, who was big in All Japan Wrestling, and they claim he was as big as Hogan in Japan as Hogan was in America. That's how big he was. Number 2, I was surprised he was this high, even though I've always liked him. Bill Watts, Mid-South, helped make a lot of stars like Steve Williams, Junkyard Dog, Ted DiBiase in the Mid-South. Also, a lot of people, and I've heard mixed stories on this. I've heard it both ways, but I heard a lot of people said that they liked him because he's an equal booker, that he did not discriminate. So back in those times, he was also one of the people with Dusty Rhodes to put Ron Simmons, the championship on Ron Simmons. He was running things also with Dusty Rhodes. So at that time, and their number 1 was Vince also.
Well, still another name that didn't hit it.
Okay. And then I have my list of people that I come up with. I had Terry Funk, Shawn Michaels, especially recently. Some of these could be kind of recent now too. Chris Jericho, I think it's a great mind. Kevin Sullivan, I don't think gets enough credit because a lot of stuff he came up with Florida and also WCW.
He's going to be at Comic-Con, I was told today.
Okay, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Jerry Lawler, I don't think gets enough credit for what he did in Mid-South. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people think he's just the guy that was on Monday Night Raw and yelled puppies. He was a great, not saying he was a great.
The Andy Kaufman stuff was Jerry Lawler's stuff.
Yeah,
so
I don't know if he was a great wrestler. He was a great talent. Triple H, who I think's got an incredible mind. William Regal, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Conan, and I didn't know that his nickname in Mexico is the Mexican Hulk Hogan. That's how big he is in Mexico. I didn't realize that.
I knew he was a huge draw in Mexico, but I didn't know that's what his name meant.
I think Vince Russo, I think deserves some credit, even though I think that I mean, I think
Marcus shaking his head at you.
Well, you got to admit he did. Yeah, but
he did terrible in WCW. He did a lot of good things but he had Vince as a, okay, we're going to use that. No, we're not going to use that. So he had that filter. Jim Ross, I think, it's Incredible Mind. Eric Bischoff, I
there
think
it is.
Incredible Mind.
I'm surprised that did not make the list anywhere else.
Me too. Another one, Stu Hart.
Yep, Stu Hart's on
I
my
think
list.
incredible. And then the last one I had on the list was Antonio Inoki, also from Japan. But that's the people I just had on my list.
Did you say Paul Heyman?
Well, I said Heyman on the other thing. I mean,
Okay. I was gonna say, can't leave Heyman.
Well,
off
wait a
the
minute. This was another list of people that was on there. Here's my list. What the hell? Am I talking about? Okay, here's
That
my
wasn't
top
your
10.
list?
Well, this
No,
was
I thought
another
that
one
was
that
your
I wrote
list.
down. This is another
Okay.
one that I wrote down. Oh, here's what it is. This is names I wrote down, and then I made my top 10. So, look, I told you guys I'm old, so give me a break. Here's my top 10. Number 10, Terry Funk. Number 9, Bobby the Brain Heenan. 8, William Regal. 7, Eric Bischoff. 6, Jim Cornette. 5, Jim Ross. 4, Pat Patterson. 3, Heyman. 2, Dusty. 1, Vince. That's my list.
That's a pretty solid list.
Yeah, that's so. And you're sure that's your list?
That's mine. It might be my dog Pablo, but me and Pablo discuss the same things all the time.
Well, I guess I need to acknowledge Justin. Yes, you won Saturday in a very good match. We all agreed to that.
Yep,
But
it was
we're
a
all
good
looking
match.
forward to the cage match coming up at the next month.
Yes, I am too.
So,
And,
yeah,
hey, how's it going tonight, Gary?
If you watch Shooting with Shane, I already gave you the thumbs up on the Shooting Shane podcast, Justin, that you've had 6 months to poke the bear with Christian Cash, and Christian lost his momentum. But I really feel if you guys had that match back in November like you were supposed to, Christian Cash would have walked in there Saturday with the belt.
What do you think his chances are? The 27th.
Well, now that if he loses, he has to retire 100%. I think he's got more momentum under him now.
And I think being in a cage could help because that could maybe keep out some of the numbers game.
Well,
The only one he had was the big bearded
don't have
bastard.
quite a many numbers anymore.
Yeah.
Losing numbers.
Well, he only brought out the bastard and they kicked him out, but he still pulled it off.
Let's see. All right, sounds good, man. And then Glenn said, yeah, he talking about Russo. He said under Vince's thumb he was okay, but in WCW he did way too much.
Watched the Brawl for All, and that was a total terrible fade. Ask Jim Cornette for what, but if you watch Dark Side of the Ring, and I got info on that before we go off air.
Okay.
That was just terribly bad. That didn't go the way they wanted it to go, and it ruined Bart Gunn's career, basically. So,
actually pretty much ended Dr. Death to us, really, kind of. He was getting ready to get a push.
And again, I still don't think Dr. Death would have done. I don't think it would work.
He didn't like it.
Scrappy lay down, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see Dr. Death really fitting in at that time, but maybe they would have come up with something. Maybe he could have destroyed Austin.
To be the next Hogan, though, I still don't ever see that.
Yeah.
Yes, Glenn, that's true. But I don't see Dr. Death becoming a Hogan Savage. I mean, he did all right with Bill Watts, but I don't think he would have done all right with Vince.
I'll tell you, if you want to see some good matches, go back and watch. I've been seeing some clips, and I'm going to go back and watch the match. It's the Steiner brothers against Dr. Death and
Gordy,
Terry Bam Bam Gordy.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about somebody just beating the holy hell out of each other.
All right, I'm going to give you another in this day in wrestling history. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. Hogan and Stan Hansen in Japan was either yesterday or today. It was supposed to be Hogan versus Terry Gordy, but they thought if Terry Gordy lost to Hogan, he'd lost his drawing power in Japan.
Yep.
So they brought in the Cowboy because they didn't call him the Lariat. If you watch the video, it's the Cowboy Stan Hansen. And if you ever seen that match, Hogan in Japan and Hogan in America was two different wrestlers.
It's two different. Yep. Yeah, Hogan could wrestle.
So, all right, you want my list?
Yeah.
I think this is my list. Anyhow, I had Jerry Lawler because Mid-South, I mean, that's some good stuff.
Yep.
I mean, Paul Heyman, of course. You can't have a list without Paul Heyman. And you can't have a list without Vince McMahon, because where would we be today without Vince McMahon? Seriously. I had Eric Bischoff because of the NWO and all that. I had Fritz Von Erich because he kept the. How do you keep a feud with the Freebirds and the Von Erichs last as long as you did if somebody behind it wasn't good at what they done? Bobby Heenan. I had Pat Patterson, Stu Hart, because he ran Stampede Wrestling. A lot of the names from Stampede, and I had Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, Lynn, that's right. Chris will show it here. But yeah, that's true. That show with Stan Hansen and Hogan had this on it too.
Oh, yeah. Andre and Giant Bob. I've seen that. I forgot that was on. I didn't realize that was the same show.
Yeah, it had Bret Hart and Tiger Mask too.
There's an old WWF, I think it was like on Volume 1, that had Tiger Mask taking on, I think it was, Missy Hyatt's husband.
Eddie Gilbert.
Eddie Gilbert, yes. And you talk about classic stuff. Eddie Gilbert, if he was still around, we'd have another promotion, probably another major promotion, I would guess. Because Eddie Gilbert was another great mind in wrestling. He just had a short life, so. No, he didn't hear any of that, did he?
No, I didn't. I had to shut the door.
No, he took off.
I said Eddie Gilbert. If Eddie Gilbert was still alive, there'd be probably another promotion, major promotion out there. He was a great mind. He just had a short life.
Yeah, he was great. He was a great mind. Yeah, you're right. Very good.
Think about the only one. I think we covered about everybody I had wrote down. I had Triple H, Vince.
We'll let you go
Paul
first
Heyman,
next time.
Paul Heyman, Dusty Rhodes, Cornette, Bischoff, Jim Ross, Jerry the King Lawler, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
You think Vince is number one? You think you got to make him number one for?
Yeah, I think he's number one because wrestling
without Vince, I really don't think we would be where we are out today. And I give it to not Paul Heyman. Well, Paul Heyman kind of too. Bischoff, because Bischoff then put a fire under Vince to, we got to get better. We're losing this. We've got to get better.
Billy has a question. It says, say them guys that thought about killing Vince, where would wrestling be at today?
Lordy, who would even imagine?
It would have, if Vince don't come along, people can say what they want. Vince, a lot of people made a lot of money with Vince that I don't know that they would have ever made if the territory system stayed around. I don't know. Do you think the territories would have stayed? Or do you think somebody would eventually?
I don't know. Because Vince crossed that line. I'm sure there would have been somebody that would have crossed that line, but to the degree Vince did, no, I don't.
Not only the vision that Vince had, but the balls that he had to chase that vision and to believe that it was going to work.
Well, WrestleMania 1 didn't work. I mean, WrestleMania 1 did work, and if it didn't work, they said he was done.
Yeah, because he mortgaged everything. Well, that's how Dusty Rhodes was involved. Clash of the Champions. He was part of that too. Bring a Clash of the Champions because they had Clash of Champions 1 go up against WrestleMania 4 on free TV. If you had cable, it was free TV. And people were begging, we need more of this. I loved when Clash of the Champions was out. I got most of them on VHS. Yeah. One day I'll show you my library that I can no longer watch, but I do have it.
Dusty, if he would have got hooked up with the right financer, might have been able to have enough vision, because a lot of the stuff that Vince did, I mean, some of the stuff Dusty was doing or had ideas to do. So, I mean, Dusty had the vision. I don't know if he had the other
Well, he didn't have the.
discipline, maybe, and
It'll say he didn't have the
finances.
the money discipline, because if he, like they said, if he had a dollar, he was spending two.
That's what I'm saying. He would have had a financial somebody that knew what they were doing with finances. Well,
And-
Paul Heyman, same way.
Yeah, Paul.
Paul-
Oh, Paul.
Paul Heyman.
Yeah,
Heyman.
Paul Heyman was just the other way. He didn't have $1 to spend. Dusty was spending money, at least half the money he had. Paul Heyman was spending money he didn't have at all. So.
Yeah.
Oh, if he'd had somebody to manage the money side for him, man, because Paul. Yeah, I'd like to see what Paul Heyman would have done, because he has a great.
Oh yeah, that ECW stuff is fantastic.
Yeah, and if he'd have been a little better with his money, and then could have got just a financial backer, that I think that could have really blew up.
I agree.
Because it was on its way, and it got a lot of steam quick too. I
I still
remember
don't know how, when we was in Indy that night, that room was packed to the gills. I don't know how every arena, every show you ever seen ECW, it was packed. How did he not have enough money to finance that? Because he didn't know how to finance. He didn't know how to use his money.
Yeah, it has to be, because you're right. Every time you saw an ECW event, it looked like it was standing room only.
It was, and then the merch and everything. He just didn't know how to handle his cash.
It was basically, I think, Bully Ray was in charge of getting the buildings. Taz was doing merch. I mean, yeah, they just
I went back
done their
and
little part.
and I remember, I've seen this. I had seen that after you'd said it, but I went ahead and watched it again. But
I like it. It's pretty good. Let's see. Yeah, just think if Heyman would have been better financially, and then had some just a backing, he could have. Look what ECW was doing.
Well, yeah, he almost at one time went to TNA, and I think he met with her and changed his mind. But what could TNA been if it would have had his mind? I mean, yeah, he's got great ideas. He knows what he's doing. There's no doubt about it. But he just needed somebody to handle the financial side. But they said that he could get a locker room to run through a wall for him. The way he could, get him fired up and we're getting threats on here.
yeah, well, we all got threatened. Me and Chris and Canes up the boo hole because we had Canes available. That's where they were going. His and Kelly's was Then you and Wiley left.
Yeah, it's going to be you and Wiley.
I want to tell you guys, when you asked me to commentate the whole show, I did not expect Justin Terrell to be sitting at the end of the table during the first match. And
I didn't either. Had Justin
not
on
what I
one.
thought, but this is pretty good.
Yeah, we had Justin on one end, and Barney on the other.
Well, then Mike King was standing right over my
keep
shoulder.
turning around because you can't trust Mike King behind you.
No.
I will say, on a side note, that was fantastic that took place the way it did.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. Yeah, Mike tapped me on the shoulder. I'm like, fuck, I didn't know you was back there, dude. Luckily, that's all he did was just tap me on the shoulder. He didn't know what to expect.
Well, he'd have to put down his Hall of Fame award, so.
I love. Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I love that he's carrying that plaque around. That's awesome.
Yep.
I got a really good picture where it looks like he's like it's his best friend up in that corner because he's caught a hog with
one
it.
time he was rubbing it.
We need to get Blake Money right in AACW.
Yeah. Oh,
He's
gotta
your
get back
man.
on DCCW. DCCW.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that too.
I know he was. I saw a thing earlier. That thing Zay had put out, then he told Zay that they need to get somebody to book him and Zay against each other. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I'd like to see Blake and Zay.
Going to see Blake and Carson Drake.
Yeah, I'd like to see that
I
too.
know that's all I can say right now about that, but
Yep.
let's say where and when, but
Got to get the Brinks truck ready. And he was in
Yep, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Yep. Well, guys, you guys got anything else? You guys got ideas for next week?
No. Does anybody out there? Glenn, you still out there? Anybody got ideas? Anybody? Justin, we could talk about you all hour, I guess, if you wanted.
We got any show? We got Warrior Pro this weekend, right?
Yep, we're pro this weekend.
You gonna be at Warrior Pro, Marcus?
I'll be Warrior Pro. Well, if Kelly is okay by then, I don't know if you knew, but she fell Saturday night out there in the parking lot.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. Tyson, I can't think of his last name. What took on hysterics?
Lane.
Tyson Lane was taking her chair out and tripped over that parking block there in the car beside us. Cracked her knees.
He tripped over it twice.
That night. Too.
I tripped over it twice.
She's bruised. Her knees are just black right now. She already has a doctor's appointment scheduled for tomorrow with her orthopedic guy, so we're going to see what he says. So as of right now, we're supposed to be at the Dub on Friday, Danville, Indiana, Danville, Illinois on Sunday. Because as soon as Warrior Pro's over, then we're going over to a new version. So
yeah, he tripped over that little curb thing twice. When carrying stuff out.
Yeah. I don't know what I was doing. I knew it was there.
No, it was just dark out there. She couldn't see it. And Tyson didn't see it either because he, of course, lost it because she fell down. He said, "Oh, if I'd seen that," but he didn't see it either. So,
Glenn says, "Greatest pay-per-views."
I think that's a good idea.
We can do that, but I'm not big on my pay-per-views. I mean, I guess I could do the early WrestleMania ones, SummerSlams, Royal Rumbles. I guess I can hold my own on that.
Probably some in your houses and stuff.
Yeah, I could probably do that. Yeah.
Okay, that can be one of it.
Kelly said talking about Justin would be boring.
Well, that's kind of true.
Well, but
I'd rather talk about Kristen Cash.
Glenn says he may go to his mom's, but if not, he'll be at Warrior Pro.
Hope to see you, Glenn.
Oh, I bet, Kelly. Sorry to hear that.
Hey, Glenn, if you show up at Warrior Pro, we need a photo together. Well, I'm surprised we don't have one in the files yet.
Yeah, we didn't hear that she'd fell, right?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, he almost, like I said, he tripped over it twice. I said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, her knees are pretty bruised up right now.
That's probably that was one thing that building could use some better lighting on the outside.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was pretty nice. I like the. Other than it was hot.
Yeah, but I kind of figured it would be.
Yeah.
I just had to because it's the first show in the springtime, and
we're gonna have to set up the concession stand better with more stuff because they've been.
Yeah, I can't believe that. Kelly came over and asked if we wanted a drink, and she went over there. She goes, "They're all out of drinks." It's like, wow. So the first thing we did after we got in the car was we got a drink. It's like because then after they told you can't have anything to drink, then all of a sudden you're dying from thirst.
Yeah.
So glad we didn't eat that popcorn that we now found out was a setup. But
yeah.
I was snacking on it throughout the night.
I had Wiley's girlfriend grab it. I said, "Grab a handful of that and go throw it at Dalton." It says it's for me because Dalton's always throwing crap at me. And
what about we do? Lynn said the pay-per-views. Won't we do biggest turns?
Well, that could be that. Yeah, I can work on that. Let's see. Great pay-per-views and greatest turns. Okay.
Won't all of us try to come up also on that pay-per-views? Try to come up with your top 5, your favorite 5.
All right. Well, I know what number 1 is already, but anyhow,
I'm not sure.
I got some info. You want this Dark Side of the Ring stuff?
Yeah.
All right. Dark Side of the Ring will debut Dark Side of the Ring Season 4, May 30th. The top 4 shows, the relationship of Chris Candido and Sonny, the Magnum TA car accident, Abdullah the Butcher, and Marty Jannetty. That's the 4 they have, and they said they have a setup of 10. That's the first 4 they've announced.
What one intrigues you the most out of those four?
Abdullah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they could tell me about Marty Jannetty that right now would even intrigue me to watch it. I mean, I will.
What was the thing he said the other day? I told you. He said I feel like I'm. Oh, this is a quote from Marty Jannetty. He said, "I'm not saying this." Okay? He says I feel like I'm gay, but I'm still attracted to women. That's what,
Yeah.
that came out last week.
I think my top one's Abdullah the Butcher because I liked Abdullah.
I'm interested in the
TAX.
Candido a little bit.
Well, yeah, the top three I'm in. Marty Jannetty, I
Yeah.
don't know where you could go with that unless there's stuff there I just don't know anything about. Yeah. Hog told us that. 248
No,
was the attendance.
Yep. Yeah, I figured we said between 200 and 250. So
Mhm.
what I thought.
I still don't understand why they were only expecting 125. They've had more than 125. I think every show of theirs I've been to.
Yep.
Unless it was the comeback show, but evidently the word of mouth got out there because everybody that I normally see at one of those shows was there.
Well, you got to remember, you got 100 of Dirty Birds.
Well, that's true. He should have thought of that. SummerSlam Ford Field tickets. Now I read this. I think they made.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
$4,000 for a floor seat.
Really?
And $300 for the upper bowl, which I guess is up there in the.
Yes, the
Really?
$300.
Well,
That's what I read.
They've already sold 35,000 tickets.
And then DeVille was hoping, like, Lord, hope us that Royal Rumble ain't like that because I have a feeling if SummerSlam wins Royal Rumble, I think it's a bigger draw than SummerSlam. I really think it would be.
Only thing is,
Marcus, I don't know if you'd be interested because of the parking and walking, but they're having a pay-per-view in Columbus, Impact Wrestling. Tickets start at $25.
Columbus, Ohio?
Yep, Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's
a Friday. It's June 9th. But I'm worried about the their building's probably going to be like a building that holds 2,000 people. It's not going to be
probably like the Coliseum. I'll let you know. I'm probably going to have to say no, but because we already got a trip.
I could try to Yep. Yeah, we thought about it because being a pay-per-view and said tickets start at $25.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how much what the cheapest ticket. Surely there'll be some cheaper tickets than $300 or $400.
Yeah, but where are they going to be at? I was wondering when I was watching WrestleMania how much those people paid for those tickets right under those lights up there. Because not only are they in that top row, then they got those spotlights like right over the top of them. It's like, what you pay for that? I'm being sunburned. I need to put my sunscreen on. The lights are burning me up. So,
a lot of people. Some of the people pay it just so they can say they were there. But man, yeah, I saw that earlier. It said about the SummerSlam.
I didn't see that.
They had this day in wrestling history for Indiana too. That was weird because we was just talking about this. Tony Bruiser versus Baron von Raschke.
Really?
I can't remember what year. I'm thinking 75.
Okay.
Well, I can't remember, but we were just talking about that Saturday, and then it came up in the history. So,
well, all right, ready to go? Get out of here.
Sure.
Eat me some apple pie and ice cream.
Oh, that sounds good.
Caramel apple pie.
Well, that's even better. Plop that ice cream on there. So is Justin now? Did Kelly scare him off?
Most of he didn't say anything else after Kelly came on.
I would say after saying that he was boring and I'd rather watch Christian Cash, I would say he was already off or he'd have said something.
I was surprised we didn't get no Mike King tonight.
Well, Mike King's real busy right now, I think. So, yeah, because if he's out in there, he'd get us.
Oh yeah, he definitely will. Well, I am looking forward to him and Joey in the cage. I think that's going to be real good.
I think Terry Coons needs to get a bunch of Savage Love shirts and just set up a table. See what put them down, find out where they're all sitting, set
would
the table
figure
down
that-
there beside them. And then just make sure you guys are sitting over there next to him. So
I think they should just make it.
Just have a few printed up and find out where the Dirty Bird flock's going to sit and put some in all their chairs.
I think AACW should just do like some other promotions, do all cage matches.
So you don't have to have intermission?
No intermission.
well, that's easier for the cage that way.
Yeah.
I guess when it was in Lebanon, Rogers said it went up at intermission. So the second half was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basher, he wouldn't do that. He'd set the cage up, and then it'd be the whole show would be cage.
Yeah, I know they've done like cagements, and all of them are in the cage and stuff.
When Grasher used to write his at Greensburg, and
I'm not even gonna say the promotion's name, but they were talking and said, "Yeah, we're going to set the cage up. We're not going to have an intermission." And then he said, "Well, yeah, we are going to have an intermission, but it's not going to be because we got to put the cage." and then they want to make fun of another promotion. Well, I'll just say that because they're making fun of DCCW because Kurt Angle wasn't there. They're making fun, yeah, you know. But then they said they were going to have somebody at their show this time, at their next coming show. And now he was supposed to have been there a time before, but he canceled. You just got done making fun of DCCW.
Hey, I think DCCW did well with their replacement
did very
they
well.
had a replacement,
Especially on that short of notice.
a high quality replacement at that.
Yes, a Hall of Famer.
It's like we're not talking, okay, here's Kurt Angle. Now we're going to give you, let's see, the Gobbledygooker. Yay.
Yeah. I'd be excited about that Gobbledygooker. but yeah. That, and then what else did they say? There was something else.
Although I didn't listen to it. You were telling me
that
about
I was going off on. Heck, I don't even remember now. So it must not have been important, but yeah, it's
I did see, Marcus, that that Scarecrow is going to retire at the end of this year.
Yeah, we've seen that too. Did you see those Hall of Fame? Those were like little trophies. Those were nice.
Yeah, they were
ones
nice.
The Bo had
Yep.
with his group.
Yep.
Yeah, I almost wrote something on there, but I didn't.
Scarecrow's been, I think I've known him, since the first Hoosier Pro Wrestling.
Really?
Maybe 20, not quite 20 years. Because he used to come out as Eddie Felson, and he was always on a Hoosier Pro Wrestling show. Every time I was there, he was on it.
Okay.
So I've known Eddie quite a while. Did you see JICW? It's going to be Excalibur, Tyler Scott, and Kripke, three-way dance.
I seen that.
And Big T's going to defend his title against Aaron Atlas. And I don't know who Casey Grim Santos is taking on, but there's a feud set up there too. So you guys got to get to one of those sometime.
Yeah, we will.
When is that one?
I think that's in Bloomington. We got to go to Bloomington.
Yeah, it
29.
is.
Yep.
I was gonna say, I knew it was the day we had something, but I couldn't remember when. Yeah, but
And I don't know how. I think that thing's like at 3:00 in the afternoon, but I don't know when it'll be done.
yeah,
I don't know how long it would take. Well,
I know what you're thinking. Trying to leave Bloomington to go to Martinsville.
Oh no! I don't think it'd be time.
I'm thinking,
You might hit the second half.
Well, we could maybe go watch. Yeah, we couldn't broadcast.
that's true. Let's see what time that thing ends. But we appreciate everybody watching tonight. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Gonzo Sports Room. Also, like and follow on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all at Gonzo Sports Room. Post everything about our shows. See, Sunday will be, our next wrestling show will be Sunday, Warrior Pro Wrestling. That starts at 3.
Yes.
3 o'clock.
Yes.
Doors open at 2, bell times at 3. Should be another real good show. So
Yeah, it should be.
if you make it Danville, join us there. If not, watch it on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hopefully, we're going to have some information here very soon on DCCW's next show. Hopefully, It's a month away, so hopefully they got some news for us here pretty quick.
And then working on getting some more interviews lined up, but we don't have anything this week as right now. But we appreciate everybody watching. We'll be back Monday at 6:30 for another GWR weekly show.
Yep.
And hope everybody has a great Monday night. And we'll see you next week.
That'd be absolutely devastating.
This is Joey Owens' show. They've been trying to get me on this broadcast forever, and this is the worst damn podcast I've ever been on. So you all can kiss my ass while I win this match.